Hello, wherever you are in any part of the world. Hello from my heart to yours.
So please excuse my sarcastic tone. I'm a bit underwhelmed by the sample shown. Mr. Bistro fraternity guy, you got my ass full of bloodshot eyes. Get drunk and fight every night. Idolize Bradley, belittle women's rights. Homophobic, racist, and don't give a fucking hey. Do you think you can drive a bigger truck? So wear your baseball cap to the side to let everyone know that you're a nice guy. So cool, was so impressed. Lots of chicks and a barrel chest. Cause you're a real man. Punch for punch, gonna piss in your face while you're passed out drunk. I'm a nice guy, you're a nice guy. He's a nice guy, but all of you are assholes. I'm a nice guy, you're a nice guy. She's a nice guy, but all of you are assholes. Nice guys rule the planet. I just can't understand it. So could divine by deception and lies. Social Darwinism and an overdose of pride. I don't wanna hear it. Read into the lyrics, cause everybody gets their just desserts. As long as you remember that nice guys finish Mr. Whitebeard, you're next on the list. Such a nice guy who speaks through his fists. Prick with a penchant for messing with heads. A broken nose for dinner and breakfast in bed. Alcoholic, paranoid, and suicidal too. But you're probably ill her before she gets away from you. Screws in a pool of blood and crying. All your friends say that you're a nice guy. Have a drink, this one's on me. Look, you're doing fine, losing to your disease. Comatose, I'll pack your bags. Bury you like cats ready to go. I'm a nice guy, you're a nice guy. We're all nice guys, but all of you are assholes. He's a nice guy, she's a nice guy. Hey, Combo's a nice guy. All of you are assholes. Nice guys rule the planet. The public dominant. Put a body by deception and lies. Social Darwinism and an overdose of pride. Fuck off, jerk off. I don't wanna hear it. Fuck off, jerk off. Read into the lyrics. So let the fucking pill quench your thirst. As long as you remember that nice guys finish first.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Plex. We do the show live every Sunday, 7 p.m. Pacific, right here on Twitch. That's twitch.tv/EchoPlex Media. We're also broadcasting some other places, but like you don't really want to watch there. You can support this project at patreon.com/EchoPlex, or even better at eplex.store. You can get memberships there that are much like the Patreon ones. They also come with automatic discounts on our swag. Other ways to support the show obviously include just sending me money. You can do that at streamlabs.com/EchoPlex Media. I'm producer Dave. You can find me on Grindr, and this is what the people want.
I don't hate the cops. There's a person inside when the truncheon stops. Oh, don't hate the cops. Oh, when the raiders come, who will protect the shops? Don't hate the cops. They're a sensitive bunch if you don't stop throwing your rocks. Snap, crackle, pop is the sound of a taser. Your body drops. Don't hate the cops. cops. Don't hate the cops. Thank your local police, 'cause they don't do nothing wrong. Thank your local police. Got rid of the corruption and the racism is gone. They've been keeping the peace, keeping homeless folks out of the parks and malls. Got a cure for your social disease. Follow the law, don't hate the cops. 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 Put your hands above your head and show you're not afraid. I'm the fairest judge that your skin color's gonna get. And if you die before the sun comes up, the paperwork will take forever. Well, it might have worked out a little bit better if you didn't hate the cops. Because they don't do nothing wrong. Don't hate the cops. You can't blame them for just doing their job. Don't hate the cops. Well, you gotta wonder, how much would it cost for you to be shot at and stabbed at by maniacs and drunks? Don't hate the cops. 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 Don't hate the cops.
Well, it's not even Thanksgiving, and wouldn't you know it, fucking war on Christmas has already started. And this time there's a gay nutcracker on our side. I think we're gonna win. I think we're gonna win this year.
Gay nutcracker, complete with a rainbow hat, a trans. Gay nutcracker, complete with a rainbow hat, a trans flag, full price $12, but right now it's on sale for $8. Target also sells Santa ornaments, but Target's Santa is in a wheelchair and is black.
Let's go. War on Christmas 2023. Let's fucking go. Listen, we're already winning. If we got a gay nutcracker and black Santa in a wheelchair, and Jesse Waters is pissed. Everybody, we're already winning. I don't even think we're gonna have to bust out that Sam Cedar video this year. Honestly, here we got more. Here's from the same from the same broadcast. Here's Riley Gaines talking about Target's fucking gay black disabled Santa Christmas.
It doesn't make sense. You have to ask yourself, why do they keep pushing this? Who are they trying to appeal to? Because despite what the media portrays or how politicians are voting, this doesn't represent the overwhelming majority of how this country, really how the world, feels on this issue. I think majority
what issue?
Especially, they can acknowledge that gay nutcracker and black disabled Santa has gone way too far. The pendulum has swung too far.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not as upset about.
Wait, he bought one. He loves gay nutcracker. Jesse Waters loves the gay nutcracker. It's his friend. That's your friend, Jesse. It might be your only friend. I'm glad he bought one. Shows that he's growing as a person. You remember the first time we saw Jesse Waters, he basically went into Chinatown and told people, basically walked up to people and were all ching chong ding dong, and then wondered why the people in Chinatown didn't like him. That was our first experience with Waters. So he's growing. He's growing. He would have never bought the gay pride nutcracker before. Also, that really sucks. Actually, I feel like I should have had an artificial intelligence program spit me out a gay nutcracker for a t-shirt, but no, Target beat me to it. All right, well, we'll keep an eye on the war on Christmas this year. I'll let you know if we need to deploy. I don't think we will, though. It looks like we're already winning. I don't think we're going to need to deploy. So we have a couple of clips from some depositions in the Georgia case against the former president. And this one is the Kraken. This is Sidney Powell.
There was a big shouting match in which Rudy called me every name in the book. And I was the worst lawyer he'd ever seen in his life. There were no circumstances under which he'd work with me on anything. He called me a bitch and I don't know what all. And that's pretty much all I remember about that one. Did I know anything about election law? No. But I understand fraud from having been a prosecutor for 10 years.
What was...
Lady, you understand fraud from having been a fraud for the last 5.
Trump's sense of what you would do as special counsel?
I guess he assumed, and I would have thought that I would have looked at putting into effect a provision of 13848 that would have allowed the machines to be secured in 4 or 5 states.
How do you choose which states that you would target?
How would I have chosen that? By the ones where there were the most statistical anomalies.
Ms. Powell, were you ever around when anyone told Donald Trump that he had lost the election?
Oh, yeah.
Who?
Pat Cipollone, Eric Hirschman, Derek Lyons, all thought he'd lost.
Was that in the December 18th meeting?
Yes.
What was President Trump's reaction when, I guess, this cadre of advisors would say you lost?
It was like, well, they would say that and then they'd walk out and he'd go, see, this is what I deal with all the time. He was specifically willing to appoint me special counsel. In fact, he looked over at Cipollone 3 different times and said, do I have the authority to name her special counsel? And Cipollone said, yes, you do. And then somebody said, well, she doesn't have a security clearance. So he looked at Cipollone and he said, do I have the authority to give her a security clearance? And Cipollone said, yes, you do. And then about the 3rd time we went through that scenario, Cipollone, I think, said, you can name her anything you want, Mr. President, and nobody's going to pay a bit of attention to it.
Oh, I can't wait till this whole deposition drops, if it drops, because it's going to be good. It's going to be good. Not only was Sidney Powell deposed, so was looks like Jenna Ellis was deposed. And well, like I said, I can't wait till the whole depositions come out, because they're going to be great, and we're going to watch the whole fucking thing. I don't care how long they are. We'll be up till 5 a.m. watching this shit.
Okay. And at the time period where they were going to start to discuss, what was Dan Scavino's role?
At the time, I believe his title was social media director for the White House. It became deputy chief of staff at the time that the conversation in question took place.
Okay, and when was that?
The conversation was around December 9th.
She must be woke. She has a Starbucks.
2020 at the White House Christmas party. And I emphasized him. I thought that the claims and the ability to challenge the election results was essentially over, because he said to me in a kind of excited tone, well, we don't care and we're not going to leave. And I said, what do you mean? And he said, well, the boss, meaning President Trump, and everyone understood the boss, that's what we all called him. He said the boss is not going to leave under any circumstances. We are just going to stay in power. And I said to him, well, it doesn't quite work that way, you realize. And he said, we don't care.
Yeah, what they didn't realize is that as soon as the inauguration happened, if he would have tried to stay, the people that he thought were his Secret Service agents would have just fucking escorted him out, if by force if necessary. Like, it would have been like, wouldn't have even been very fucking climactic, right? They would have just grabbed him and been like, get out. You don't live here anymore. Nobody likes an eviction, but my God. Well, here's Representative Greg Murphy, and he seems like a fucking dumbass. I've never heard of him before, and here he is on CNN, which I have heard of before.
It wasn't an elected office.
He was the vice president of the United States.
Who are you saying? Who are you saying was in an elected office here when you're talking about holding people in contempt of Congress for being non-responsive?
Well, tell me what office Steve Bannon was in.
Well, tell me what office Hunter Biden was in.
No, I'm not talking about Hunter Biden. I'm talking about Joe Biden, the president of the United States.
You haven't subpoenaed him.
You
haven't subpoenaed him. I'm asking if Hunter Biden or Jim Biden, the brother and son of the president, who are not elected officials, if they are not responsive, will you hold them in contempt?
Think about this, John. If you've seen the facts that have occurred, we see that there's been influence peddling. I mean, the president of the United States, vice president at the time, said point blank, if you don't fire a prosecutor, I'm going to withhold money. So that's a crooked deal in as itself.
But you're
so it's
talking
all
about
a
what happened
scheme.
in
If we
Ukraine.
don't get these individuals,
Congressman, I'm just trying to understand the difference. I'm just trying to understand the difference when you're talking about congressional subpoenas. You voted against holding Steve Bannon in contempt of Congress when he didn't appear before the January 6th committee, which was a committee,
but was
elected for
Steve
by
Bannon
Congress.
related to the president of the United States?
No, he was a former employee of President Donald Trump, and the other people who you did not vote to hold in contempt literally worked for the former President Donald Trump. So my answer to that is yes.
When you have a son that is using the Biden brand, when you have a son that is using the Biden brand and created illegal issues rather, to use his father's brand, if they're going to come lie and the same thing with his brother James, it's an entirely different standard. It's an entirely different standard, John, and you know it.
No, I don't. I'm actually still confused. We're talking about private citizens, and my question to you is if they are not responsive to the subpoena, would you hold them in contempt? You say yes for Hunter Biden. You voted no for Steve Bannon. And then you talk about there's a different standard for elected officials, but neither of them are elected.
John.
I swear last week we watched Jim Acosta have almost the exact same conversation with a different Republican member of the House. I'm not fucking kidding. You go back and listen to last week's podcast with almost the same discussion, just two different people. They're not even good at this. So, up next, we got, we don't like the FBI around here, right? But the FBI director, Mr. Wray, seems to always come with receipts when they question him in the House of Representatives.
Sir, do you find it interesting how many whistleblowers there are right now from your organization coming forward and testifying to Congress about the conduct of the FBI and how they no longer even want to work for the FBI? They're willing to risk everything, including their livelihood, to come and talk to Congress about what they perceive to be a change in the culture at the FBI.
Certainly, I respect the role of whistleblowers in our system. It's an important part of the way our system of government works. When it comes to the culture of the FBI, I'm very proud of our 38,000 people. I think you will be relieved to know that the number of people applying to be special agents from the state of Arizona has gone up over 135% over the last 5 years. And the view that you've just described, I don't think matches what I hear from the 55-plus chiefs and sheriffs and other agency heads in the state of Arizona who've dedicated something like 200 plus of their task force officers to serve on our task forces. In fact, we've got about as many task force officers on our task force. Real quick, sir,
do you find...
So again, we heard almost the exact same exchange like about a month ago with somebody from Florida and Director Wray saying that the recruitment was up in the fucking Southern District of Florida or whatever too. It's like nothing fucking changes. Everything stays the same. All right, I got one this one. Who are you going to call? This would be Ghost Buses.
If you are asking whether the violence at the Capitol on January 6th was part of some operation orchestrated by FBI sources and or agents, the answer is emphatically
You're saying
not.
no?
No.
You're saying no?
Not
okay.
Violence orchestrated by
Whoa, Mr. Higgins be day drinking. Listen to Mr. Higgins. Mr. Higgins be sounding like me at 1 a.m.
or agents.
Are you familiar with You know what a ghost vehicle is? Director of the FBI certainly should. You know what a ghost bus is?
A ghost bus?
Ghost bus.
I'm not sure I've used that term before.
Okay. Well, it's pretty common in law enforcement. It's a vehicle that's used for secret purposes. It's painted over. These two buses in the middle here, they were the first to arrive at Union Station on January 6th, 0500. I have all this evidence. I'm showing you a tip of this iceberg.
Mr. Chairman.
These two buses
Mr.
were
Chairman.
painted completely white.
Point of order.
This is a very significant hearing, Mr. Chairman, and these buses are nefarious in nature and were filled with
nefarious
FBI
buses.
informants dressed
Fucking self-driving and nefarious.
and deployed onto our Capitol on January 6th. Your day is coming,
Major
Mr. Ray.
point, Mr. Higgins. I now recognize Mr. Correa of California.
From the back of it, I can't tell who owns the bus. Therefore, those are ghost buses. Almost making us like the FBI director, but not quite. Certainly, it's not going to happen. Don't worry. We got Marjorie the Gathering here. She's going to ask the tough questions of the director of the FBI. It's there's a very, very, very Laura Loomer of her here.
Were you aware of this?
Congresswoman, as I said, I haven't seen the photos that you're holding up before.
Maybe, well, I posted them on my Twitter account. It's public. You know, maybe
I don't
you guys
spend a lot of time on Twitter.
Well, you know, oh, I'm sure you do, because the Department of Homeland Security, organized with other offices, has censored many Americans, including myself.
I'm not part of the Department of Homeland Security.
Right, Mr. Ray, you should be interested in investigating terrorism, and this.
Oh, fuck, man. You know what? It's never actually been easier to be the director of the FBI because these people aren't asking any like real questions. No real scandals being uncovered. Nothing. Just like, why am I shadow banned on Twitter? Why am I shadow banned on Twitter? So here's a clip from Rachel Maddow show. We don't usually play clips of Rachel Maddow. She really fucking ruined her reputation during the whole Trump-Russia thing. But it's every once in a while, it's really interesting to watch her, I guess, sort of realize like what's going on in the world, like a sweet summer child.
It is important that this one middle-aged, red-pilled, right-wing billionaire has
Ooh, he's getting a little old for middle age. I'm middle age.
one of the world's major social networks and turned it into a fire hose of totally toxic, anti-Semitic, and pro-Nazi content. Now, publicly blaming the Jews for the financial woes of his company, while personally using his power and his public profile to boost and validate literally self-declared anti-Semites and white nationalists who are now the loudest influences on that network. That's an important thing in the world. It also seems important that the U.S. space program, in its infinite wisdom, decided to make itself dependent on this same one guy for much of its important ongoing work, as space becomes more and more and more important to American national security. But given the
Oh no, she's going to Russia this, isn't she?
role of Russia in the world today, given
Say it 3
who
times.
they are and how they are conducting themselves these days, given the place Russia has in, given the place of Russia in relation to America's place in the world today, how is it possible that it is the Russian government that is reportedly advising this one American private citizen, advising him about turning on and turning off the single most crucial supply line for the military in the country Russia is fighting, the country that Russia has invaded, the country that Russia has invaded that is our ally? This is an American citizen reportedly taking advice from the Russian government about how to make sure America's ally loses this war against Russia. How is this happening? And how is it possible that the United States government is basically just a bystander here on this sunny day?
she hadn't burned her credibility down during the Trump-Russia thing. Prior to that, she would have actually, her and her staff would have been probably the correct cable news broadcast to look into this. Because it looks like, and I kind of took a look around at this, and it looks like she's right. I mean, there's a ton of other reasons, not just like you could take the foreign governments out of this. Like a ton of other reasons that the United States government should not be beholden to this man or just anyone actually to get their equipment up into space. There should be a little more competition in the marketplace, or maybe we could just start properly funding NASA, and then we won't be at the whims of some fucking weird fucking abusive man baby when we want to put shit into space. Did you know that America used to put shit into space all by itself? Sure, there were contractors that built parts and stuff, but did you know that NASA used to build the vehicles that we use to put things in space? Did you know that? Did you know that they were the best vehicles in the world? We could go back to that maybe. I mean, I'm not a space expert, barely even a space cadet, but we could go back to that. Anyway, up next, it's been a bit of a wild time in the U.S. House of Representatives. It's a U.S. House of Representatives fight night, as Kikyo might say. We're Kikyo here to talk about this. Here's Representative Tim Burchett on CNN claiming that Kevin McCarthy just kind of hit him. Let's see what's going on here. Oh, man.
Explain to us what happened with you and Kevin McCarthy.
Well, I was doing an interview with Claudia from NPR, a lovely lady, and she was asking me a question, and at that time I got elbowed in the back, and it kind of caught me off guard because it was a clean shot to the kidneys, and I turned back, and there was Kevin, and I for a minute I was kind of, what the heck just happened? And then I chased after him. Of course, he's as I've stated many times, he's a bully with $17 million in a security detail. He's the type of guy that when you're a kid would throw a rock over the fence and run home and hide behind his mama's skirt. And he just, he from behind, that kind of stuff. That's not the way we handle things in East Tennessee. If we have a problem with somebody, I'm going to look them in the eye and talk to them.
Okay, so he walked down the hallway, hit you in with his elbow.
Yeah, you can go on Claudia's Twitter account. It pretty much, or X account. It's very accurate.
But, okay, so then just explain. So you chased him? What do you mean you chased him?
I just ran after him. I was like, what the heck? Why'd you do that? Because it was, like I said, if you've ever been hit in the kidneys, it's a little different. You don't have to hit very hard to cause a little bit of pain, a lot of pain. And so he just, of course, as he always does, he just denies it or blame somebody else or something, and it was just a little heated, but I just backed off because I saw no reason. I wasn't gaining anything from it, and then everybody saw it, so it didn't really matter.
But he responded to you?
Yeah, he just acted like, what are you talking about, who are you, that kind of thing, and it's just, I think that's symptomatic of the problems that he's had in his short tenure as speaker.
And were you face to face when you had this interaction?
Yeah, but there's security detail, and I get it. They were doing their job, so it wasn't exactly like he wouldn't turn around and face me. He kept scurrying, trying to keep people between me and him.
I love the implication for this guy. He's like, he kept scurrying away. Couldn't quite get in his face. I wonder, is this guy claiming that he would have whooped his ass? Because I hope that's what he's claiming. I mean, fighting is bad, but whatever. These are the most powerful people in the world. Fuck it, let them fight. Put it on pay-per-view. Here's more of that. Here's more of this. I'll call this an interview.
Where did he?
I just let it go at that point. It wasn't.
Were you yelling?
He was. Yeah, I raised my voice to him. I thought it was appropriate. You just don't expect a guy who was at one time 3 steps away from the White House to hit you with a sucker punch in the hallway.
And did he raise his voice back to you?
Yeah, just that high-pitched kind of thing, I believe. And that was about it.
And did he walk into his office? How did this end?
No, he just kept on walking down the hall. I don't know where his office is now. And he had his detail and his posse, so to speak, was with him.
So did his detail try to stop you?
Do what?
Did his detail try to stop you?
The detail kind of got one guy got between us there towards the end, but I wasn't looking to knock him out or anything. I just wanted to let him know I know it was him.
Were you injured?
I don't know, injured, man.
Did it hurt?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, it still hurts because it was a shot to the kidneys, and it still hurts. Oddly enough, it's not anything probably not going to do an ethics complaint on him. He's not worth it. He's going to be gone here either after Christmas or next year. And like I said, he's got the $17 million, and he's going to keep. He's already messing in everybody's races, and we all know that.
Are you accusing him of assault?
Am I accusing him
of assault?
I don't know. Ask a lawyer. It's over as far as I'm concerned.
He said to our colleague Melanie Zanona that this was a tight hallway. He denies this interaction. He says a tight hallway, and I bumped into him. He says that this was not an intentional thing.
There's 435 congressmen. I was one of 8 that voted against him. That hallway was, there's plenty of room. You can walk four side by side. He chose to do what he did. And, it'll end right here. I'm sure it'll just be a little asterisk on his storied career.
Oh man, what a mess. Don't worry, it can't stop and it won't stop. Here's the Teamsters president versus Senator Mullen. This is actually not in the House of Representatives. This is in the Senate. It's been a wild week in the legislative bodies of the United States.
Now, let's talk about Mr. O'Brien himself, his behavior. As everybody knows, and it's here, and the last time, him and I kind of had a back and forth. Appreciate your demeanor today. It's quite different. But after you left here, you got pretty excited about the keyboard. In fact, you tweeted at me 1, 2, 3, 4.
He's printing out tweets
5 times. And let me read what the last one said. It said, greedy CEO who pretends like he's self-made. Sir, I wish you was in the truck with me when I was building my plumbing company. Myself and my wife was running the office because I sure remember working pretty hard and long hours. Pretends like he's self-made. What a clown. Fraud. Always has been, always will be. Quit the tough guy act in these Senate hearings. You know where to find me. Any place, anytime, cowboy. Sir, this is a time, this is a place. If you want to run your mouth, we can be 2 consenting adults. We can finish it here.
Okay, that's fine. Perfect.
You want to do it now?
I'd love to do it right now.
Well, stand your butt up then.
You stand your butt up.
Oh, hold on. No, stop it.
Is that your solution every poll?
No, sit down. No, you're a clown. Sit down. Look at you. You're a United States Senator. Sit down.
Active.
Oh, okay.
Look at Bernie. Bernie's like, sit the fuck down. Get him, Bernie.
Can I respond? Mr.
Hold it. If we can't, no, I have the mic. I'm sorry.
This is what he said.
You'll have your time.
Okay.
Can I respond?
Oh, no, you can't. This is a hearing. And God knows the American people have enough contempt for Congress. Let's not make it worse.
I don't like thugs and bullies.
I don't like you because you just described yourself.
Hold it. You have the mic. You have time.
All right.
Make your statement.
Then let's do this, because I did challenge you and I accepted your challenge, and you went quiet.
No, I didn't go quiet. You challenged me to a cage match, acting like a 12-year-old schoolyard bully.
Excuse me.
I will say.
I get the feeling Mr. Clean's been in a few fisticuffs in his day.
Senator Mullen, I have the mic. You have questions on any economic issues, anything that said, go for it. We're not here to talk about physical abuse.
You brought.
We're not talking about. Of course, I did.
And let me show you his hearing, because I want to expose this thug to who he is. And
Could you not point at me? That's disrespectful.
All right.
I don't care about respecting you at all. I
don't respect you at all.
So
all right, hold it. No.
This would have been over quicker if Bernie just let him fight.
Hold it, please. Act it, please. All right. This is excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
This is a hearing to discuss economic issues. All right? If you have questions for Mr. O'Brien or anybody else on what he has said, go for it. But we're not here to talk about fights or anything else.
I'm quoting exactly what he said.
You can say what you want.
This is your witness you brought. And I'm exposing him.
You can
as
talk
a person
anything you
who
want.
is. So in 2013,
Nope.
In 2013, O'Brien was suspended by the Teamsters for intimidating your own members. In 2014, you were part of, what would you say, organizing the harassment and intimidation of the Top Shelf crew?
Chef, not chef.
Top Chef, okay. And then, and I think in the reports they said sexual, racist, and homophobic slurs and death threats. 14 tires were sliced, and 5 Teamsters were arrested. And you said, well, I had nothing to do with it. But however, in that same statement, you said, but if I get called to testify, I'll plead the fifth. This is a witness you brought in here. In 2017, you were removed as lead negotiator by then President Hoffa for UPS for your actions. And then in 22, when this guy was elected, what he said after he got elected was he wanted to bring the mob mentality back to the Teamsters. This is your guy.
And you're obviously going to give him a chance to respond to your questions.
Absolutely, because this is my question. Because you called me out. I didn't call you out.
Yeah, you did.
You said anytime, any place.
Let's get the record
Okay.
straight.
Miss, hold it. No.
Hold on.
Senator Mullen, do you have a question for the witness?
Yeah.
Okay, let's hear it.
So, anytime, any place.
No, that's
April is a charity event.
No, that's not.
No, it's a sir. He said it, and this is my
He is
time.
here to
You
tell.
set parameters on what the questions can or cannot be asked, and I'll ask.
No,
you
you're not going to.
questions.
We're not going to be talking about
Yes, we
physical
can.
confrontation.
Oh, this is about charity for a union charity because this is for firefighters. And
Do you have a question on his testimony?
April.
Grow up. Will you
next
please
You have
grow
a
up? You're an
question
embarrassment.
on his. Let's not
You
be.
said it.
Embarrassment.
You said
You're
it,
an
and I'm just
embarrassment.
simply answering it.
You
Senator
reached
Mullen,
out
go
to
hold
your
it.
buddies-
Hold it. Senator Mullen, you made some charges. Mr. O'Brien, do you want to respond to
Yeah, go
the
ahead,
question?
please.
Yeah, I mean, look, the reality of it is, you
Accept
know,
my challenge, tough
Mr.
guy.
Mullen, tough guy.
Hold it. Answer the questions.
All right, y'all won. He made a lot of statements, right? And his statements are fiction at best.
Fiction. I read them.
Can he answer?
What?
Answer the question, please.
I can't understand him, to be honest with you. He rambles so much. What was your question, actually?
Well, you said I made a lot of statements.
No, but what's your question? I don't understand your question. Could you repeat it?
You said anytime, any place.
What's your question?
Accept the challenge.
What challenge?
You said anytime, any place. I'm accepting yours, so why don't you come
What
back?
challenge? What challenge are you talking
April 30th. How about we do it for a charity at the Smoking Guns in Tulsa, Oklahoma?
No, we're not going to be
what was the
talking about
challenge?
physical
What are you talking about?
confrontations here.
You want to fight me?
What do you say by anytime, any place?
Let's have coffee, discuss our differences.
Oh, that's what you said.
Yeah, that's right, exactly.
All right, well, let's sit down and have coffee.
Let's
I'd
do
love
it.
to.
All right. I'd love to.
But
It's funny how you're backing out.
Okay.
I don't back on anything.
You did.
You're the one. You're a 100.
Senator-
Should be the most influential people in this country, making changes.
Senator
You're
Hassan-
focused on.
Okay.
You're
Thank
focused
you.
on
Why did
debate
you-
that's not
why-
even relevant.
Text
You're an
me and they got
embarrassment.
silent.
You're an
Excuse me.
embarrassment.
They
Well,
went
That's what you
silence
are.
after
You're an
after
embarrassment to
my
the
text.
state of
This
Oklahoma.
hearing is about the condition of the working class in America.
You
That's
brought
why
a
we're
thug
talking.
into this.
You're the biggest thug here.
You brought him in.
All right,
You're the biggest thug. Even your colleagues call you
Why
a
you do
joke.
what you're doing, Senator Hassan?
Thank you very much, Mr.
Senator
Chair.
Hassan, you got a
Senator
question?
Mullen, please yield. I've been recognized by the chair.
Back to corner.
Microphone is yours.
Chairman Sanders, I want to thank you for this hearing. I want to thank
Yeah, Chairman Sanders, I would like to thank you for that hearing as well. Listen, those two people should not fight, right? They're both older, probably not good for them, but Mr. Clean all day, every day. Mr. Clean all day, every day. So here's a Teamsters guy on the fucking Cavuto show after this. What a fucking week in the news. I'm just glad that we're here to talk about it. Because I mean nobody else, no other channel, no other podcast is like equipped for this shit.
Together. It was the most bizarre thing I've ever seen, because first he says we're consenting adults, which was bizarre because it sounded like he wanted to date me. Then he asked to fight me, and I'm hearing now he wanted to bite me. And then the last post he made was in front of a cache of automatic weapons where he says anytime, any place. So make up your mind. Do you want to date me, fight me, bite me, or shoot me? It's crazy. We're there for one reason only. It's to, tell our side of the story and get some feedback and maybe develop some relationships for the betterment of working people. Well,
Yeah, we're both consenting adults was kind of an odd thing to say. Were they going to fuck? I wouldn't want to watch that. I'd rather watch them fight. And we have more about whether or not you're supposed to fight in the American legislature. This time from Newsmax. They're trying to decide, like, is it just Friday night that's all right for fighting, or do we just brawl any hearing? This is actually Senator Mullen on Newsmax.
The quote of the year, sir. But seriously, are there any actual Senate rules that if two consenting adults want to duke it out? I mean, we had a United States congressman pull a tooth on the House floor once. There's no rules about that. Could you guys go bare knuckle if you wanted to? Just no rules.
Well, we looked into
that.
the rules, and you used to be able to cane. You got to remember President Andrew Jackson
used to be able to hit people with a cane.
Challenged 9 guys to a duel and won 9 times. In a White House dinner one time, a guy was mouthing him at the end of the table. Jackson jumped up, literally ran across the table and knocked the guy out. And so at the end of the day, there is precedence for it if that's what someone wants to do. In this case.
Yo, I'm telling you, dude, do not throw down with the Teamsters, or even just one of them. Ask Steven Crowder what happens when you throw down with a Teamster. This guy, Mark Meckler, wants to split Virginia into 2. I was going to call it Virgexit, but that sounds awful. So no Virgexit. But yeah, they want to split Virginia into 2. Or this guy does. Which side gets Madison Star Moon?
Virginia is a state that's trending more and more blue. It's not trending blue because the whole state is trending blue. It's trending blue because Washington, D.C. is spilling out all over northern Virginia. That's a very Democrat area, and that is where the population base is that dominates the state. Really, if you want my opinion, Virginia should be split into 2 states. Culturally, geographically, politically, it's really North Virginia and South Virginia. And I would feel way more at home in South Virginia.
Sir, I'd like to introduce you to every other state. Just any state that has any densely populated areas, sir. They're all like that. New York State is like that. Where basically Manhattan is one place, like not Manhattan, like New York City is one place, and then the rest of the state is by landmass largely another state. California, Bay Area, LA, San Diego, and Sacramento are one way. Now, the rest of the fucking empty part of the state is another way, as we see in Shasta County. This is how a state works. We got more from the U.S. House of Representatives. This is Marjorie the Gathering versus Rosa DeLauro.
Thank you, Mrs. Chair. My Democrat colleague across the aisle, who's 80 years old and has been here over 30 years, just said we're on the verge of a shutdown. She probably just forgot that a few hours ago she voted for the continuing resolution that will extend the budget, and we are not on the verge of a shutdown. So I just wanted to note that for the record.
It may be that the gentlelady doesn't know that there is another body attached to the U.S. Congress called the United States Senate, and they have to vote on the continuing resolution. And when they vote on it, we'll find out what it is that they do with regard to this continuing resolution passed by the House, which, quite frankly, is flawed to a fare thee well. Flawed to a fare thee well in meeting our obligations, both domestic and international. And by the way, it isn't a law of the land or done until the President of the United States signs it. That may be a basic level, a lesson in civics. There is the House, there is the Senate, and there is the President.
She just schoolhouse rocked Marjorie the Gathering. I'm just a bill and I'm sitting here on Capitol Hill. And if that lady's 80, not only does she looks fabulous, but she is sharp as a fucking tack if she's 80. Even if she's 60, fucking 40. Lady is, you can call her old all day long. I don't know much about her, but I like her hair, and she's sharp as a fucking tack. Up next, we got Marjorie the Gathering. This is a little bit longer. I was going to put it in red light, but then I was like, the show's been a little bit shorter lately, so we'll leave this in the main show. This is Marjorie the Gathering, complete interview on the Piers Morgan show. I hate to make everybody root for Piers Morgan, but we've been having to do that a little bit lately. Sorry, everybody.
Welcome back to Uncensored. Thousands of people rallied in Washington today against surging anti-Semitic attacks since the Israel-Hamas conflict began. Incidents in the US have spiked by nearly 400%. People from all over the nation have travelled to the March for Israel, which also demanded the release of hostages taken by Hamas. Well, from Washington, I'm joined now by Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, whose new...
Oh, no, we may end up rooting for nobody.
MTG is out soon. Well, welcome, MTG. You are a very...
Hi. Thank you for having me on.
No, my pleasure. You're a very controversial character. Depending who I talk to, they say you're an absolute firebrand, the female Donald Trump. Others say you're a conspiracy theory whack job. How do you put it?
But how are those different?
Well, I'm only controversial because people like you made it that way, Piers. And that's why I wrote my book, MTG.
He's like, me, excuse me. He's like, I'm poisoning the well over here in Great Britain mostly, ma'am.
People in your industry, they created a character of me that doesn't exist. And so I wrote my book, MTG, so that I could tell my country and tell the world exactly who I am and what my real views are, which are not radical. They are not controversial. They're actually very American, and they represent the views of not only my district, but most Americans who are sick and
her district, if you go look at her district, look how gerrymandered her district is.
and sold out by Washington.
So you never promote ridiculous conspiracy theories?
Well, if you mean by Russian collusion, absolutely not. Those are the conspiracy theories and the lies of the Democrats and the media.
Except that, like, people went to jail.
So no, I never promoted those.
I agree with you about that. It was ridiculous. I said so at the time.
Well, there was no, yeah.
No, and we were born out. But for example, I want to play you a clip from a guy called Bassem Youssef. He was known as the Arab Jon Stewart, and I interviewed him recently about the war, and he said this about you.
The saddest thing that I saw is the people that were in so much support of Israel are anti-Semite themselves. MTG, Marjorie Taylor Greene, you know, she said like, oh, those are, I send my aides, and they took pictures of the protesters. Basically, she's surveilling protesters. And Marjorie Taylor Greene is very known for a very famous post in 2018 where she blamed the California wildfires on a Jewish space laser gun.
I mean, she's going to just say I didn't use those words. But she was talking about the directed energy weapons, and she brought up, I don't even remember the exact tweet now because it's become so, it's become folklore, essentially.
You didn't you? Because I've read that post. I went and got it, and I read it. November 17, 2018, you posted a long thing on Facebook that was just complete gobbledygook. I mean, you made it.
Oh, she's muted. Oh, look, she's muted. Look at this. Oh, she's never going back on Piers Morgan. Look, she's muted. Because he knew the producer or somebody, she's going to talk right over him. So she's up. Sorry, no mic for you.
I talk about Jewish space lasers
Do you admit
in my
that
book
was a
because
lunatic?
that's something I never said. No, excuse me, Piers. I never said that phrase. That was a lie.
Yeah, she's going to say that she never said the exact phrase. That's the fucking defense. That's every time. And it's like, what she desperately doesn't want is for him to read just even 2 sentences of the thing she posted on Facebook because it's fucking crazy.
If you read my original Facebook post, I never said, and that's why I had to write this book, because people like you and whoever that guy was, who sounds like one of the trolls in my social media, attacking me and calling me.
Well, I mean, he probably does troll you on social media. That's probably true. I do too.
When he's never met me. I'm not anti-Semitic at all. I support Israel, and
but those are two like this conflation of the nation state of Israel with just basically international Jewry is in fact anti-Semitic.
Outraged at Hamas attacking innocent Israeli citizens, women,
Marjorie,
children, slaughtering babies.
I'm not calling you anything. I'm just saying that you did post this crazy post, basically alleging that.
The media lied about it, and that's why I wrote my book, Piers, because
he's like, I have it here. Listen, again, you don't love Piers Morgan, but I do like that he is just willing to just fucking tell people that they're full of shit. When they're clearly full of shit.
And I hope people order my book at mtgbook.com. It's a
Well, that's a
great
very good
read.
plug.
People need to know exactly who I am, and what I really believe in.
It's a very good plug for the book, but you did suggest in this post, which I've read very carefully, you did suggest that the California wildfires at the time had been started by PG&E in conjunction with the Rothschilds using a space laser in order to clear room for a high-speed rail project. They're your words, not mine.
That's right. That's right. Though she said it was to fucking. I forgot about the high-speed rail part of it. Yeah. She was suggesting that they were people, including the Rothschilds, were in cahoots to like burn some shit down so that they could put a fucking high-speed train through a place where the high-speed rail project wasn't even going.
Twisted my words nonstop, and I guess that's what you're going to continue to do. But we're working hard in America to straighten out our problems.
Wait. He started. He was gonna. It looked like he was about to start to read some of the post, and she talked over him. So, at some point, if you realize that somebody's just going to talk over you, if you try to read, you got to summarize real quick and move on.
Great job of it, Piers, and that's what you and your colleagues do all the time.
Marjorie,
I just don't. I don't handle it. I don't deal with it, and I cast it to the
Marjorie,
side.
I have your,
there's a lot of issues happening that we could talk about.
I'm going to come to those.
We could talk about.
But before we move on, though, you have to just accept what you wrote yourself, don't you? You deleted it. You were embarrassed by it.
Well, that would be like me asking you to accept the fact that you defended prisoners at Guantanamo Bay, but never say anything about January 6th defendants who are having their rights abused and are rotting away in solitary confinement here in our country, and especially in the D.C. jail. If we're going to talk about each other's words, let's hold each other to account and to issues that really matter, not social media posts from the past.
I don't know what you're referring to on Guantanamo Bay, but what I would say about Guantanamo Bay is it's clearly ridiculous that America kept this open-ended camp where people were kept without trial, sometimes for more than 12 years. It's completely ridiculous in a civilized democratic society that you would do that. Now, let's move on from my words.
Well, in a civilized Democrat society, we shouldn't be holding American citizens that simply walk through the Capitol, grandmothers and mothers.
But lady, they got some of them got a speedy trial. You could disagree with the outcome of the trial, but this is apples and space oranges.
And veterans walking
the lady,
through
they
the
stole
Capitol,
a door.
never doing anything wrong, and they're rotting away in jail and being persecuted by our Department of Justice and our government that has completely
Marjorie,
gone out of control. So if you're going to talk about one, we should talk about the
Let's
other.
talk about January 6th, by all means. I mean, I know what I witnessed with my own eyes, and it was...
He let her change the subject. I would have absolutely been like, I'd like to go back to this post if you'd let me read a couple sentences of it, please.
Huge violent mob.
Were you here?
It was, sorry?
Were you here?
No, I wasn't.
No, he wasn't there. No, now you can't comment on it. Like, now I have no room. We can't even make fun of the fact that they stole a door, because were any of you there? No.
Here. Oh, I was here. Piers, let me tell you, I was here. I was actually in the House chamber because I objected to Joe Biden's Electoral College votes.
Yeah.
I'm very proud of that. I would object again today if I could.
You did suggest
that people... I was there.
But you did suggest that people use violence to thwart democracy, didn't you?
Well, you mean like in 1776 when we beat your country? Is that what you're talking about?
If you want to reference...
No, I didn't talk about violence on January 6th.
If you want to reference 1776...
What I did talk about is objecting, using my constitutional duty that I have as a member of Congress to object to fraudulent electoral college votes.
Let me play you what you said.
Absolutely, I did that.
Let me play you what you said. Let's play what you said. Your own words.
This is an important time in our history.
She started talking. Watch. This is great.
Play you what you said. Let's play what you said. Your own words.
This is an important time in our history. We can't allow this just to be gone, just to let it go. You can't allow it to just transfer power peacefully like Joe Biden wants and allow him to become our president, because he did not win this election. It's being stolen and the evidence is there.
So there can be no peaceful transfer of power. So what's the opposite of peace?
That's why we objected, Piers. That's why we objected.
And
it's
that's
a
why, Marjorie,
constitutional
a gigantic
privilege
mob
that
of...
I have as a member of Congress.
Okay, but let me make my point.
There was a law firm that tried to take me off the ballot, and they were laughed out of the courtroom in Georgia.
Make my point.
And you were giving their talking points. I can't tell you how much people in Georgia would think
Let
this
me give
is
you my
ridiculous.
talking point, which is that a huge mob of people, many of whom were violent, crashed into the Capitol to try and thwart democracy.
Wait, do you mean like
because
do
people
mean
like you,
the
Marjorie,
pro-Hamas
people like
rioters?
you said two things.
You mean like the pro-Hamas rioters?
No. I'm talking about
that came in and occupied our Capitol on October 18th.
Marjorie,
that Rashida Tlaib herself led.
Answer my question.
No, wait, we're in 202023, Piers.
Marjorie, answer my question.
We just had a pro-Hamas mob.
You've written a book in which you talk about.
No. Fucking just kick her off your show. Just be like, get out of here. More of these people need to do that. I'm sorry. And I actually, Piers Morgan might be the first one who does it because he's got a bit of an ego on him. When the people start doing this, like on the news, especially elected officials, you just go, all right, get out of here. Get out of here.
The Capitol.
Okay.
And Rashida Tlaib
Can I ask you
led
a question? Can I? Let me ask you
go
the
ahead.
question. I want to ask two questions. One, presumably when you say there can be no peaceful transfer of power, you mean there has to be some violent objection to it, which is exactly what we then saw on January the 6th.
I didn't say violence. I didn't say you're putting words in my mouth, and I'm not going to let you do that.
You said there can be
no, Piers, I'm not going to let you. You're lying. I'm not letting you put words in my mouth that I never said.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
You want to know where the real election interference happened?
Let me ask
happened
you,
with Hillary Clinton,
Marjorie,
Barack Obama, and Russian collusion.
I'm not talking about that.
That was after the election. That was after the election. That was after all the trials and Rachel Maddow burning down her career over it and whatnot. That all happened after Donald Trump was inaugurated. And again, people were convicted of felonies in that investigation.
For 4 years.
I've agreed with you about Russian collusion. Let's agree about that. But let's not agree about the stolen election. I told Donald Trump to his face, and he didn't like it, called me a fool 7 times, that the election was not stolen from him. He has singularly failed to produce any actual hard evidence that there was any stolen election. Do you still believe that election was stolen?
Piers, you're not even a voter in our country.
No.
And I can tell you right now, as a Georgia resident and a member of Congress, in Georgia, our Secretary of State illegally changed the laws. So did Wisconsin. So did Pennsylvania, to allow our states to be flooded with absentee ballots. We have cases in court today. You should look them up. Fulton County case.
Why have
These are
no
cases that are
judges
about to be
concluded
heard
that the election
in the
was
next
stolen?
few months, Piers, excuse me.
Marjorie,
that we're
it
about to
wasn't
prove
stolen.
those cases.
It wasn't
Look,
stolen.
you can think that all you want, but you live over in Britain.
not just me
I'm
saying
an
it.
American.
And by the
I'm
way,
a Georgia voter.
I also,
I'm a member of Congress. I've seen the evidence.
Marjorie,
our election was stolen in 2020, and we are going to.
Now kick her off your show, dude. I don't like no Piers Morgan, but dude, I can't believe this big ego motherfucker isn't just like, get the fuck out of here.
Just for the record, I do have a home in America, and I spend a lot of time in America, and I have lived and worked in America for 20 years. I love America. I love Americans. I particularly love your democratic system, and I don't like to see elected officials in America, whether it's you or Donald Trump, pretending you had an election stolen when there is actually no evidence it was stolen. And in fact, many senior Republicans
There's plenty
agree
of evidence,
it wasn't
Piers,
stolen.
And if you aren't capable of believing the
Prove
truth,
it in the courts.
that's your problem.
Prove it in the courts.
It is being proven.
It's
it is.
not
Look
being
up
proven
the
in
Fulton
the
County
courts.
case. Look up Georgia
No
cases.
court
They're
has
in the courts
upheld
right now.
a stolen election.
Piers, don't lie to your viewers. There are
Marjorie,
cases
I wouldn't
right
call you a
now.
liar.
Oh, so you're telling me
I wouldn't call
suitcases
you a
of
liar. I
ballots
think
being
you're
pulled out from
completely-
under the table?
Marjorie, I'm not calling
Have
you a
you
liar.
watched the videos?
You should just call her a liar. Just call her a liar. Be like, you're a liar. Get the fuck out of here.
It's being put through
Marjorie,
the
as I said to
through the
Donald Trump,
machines, counted over and over.
Marjorie, as I said to Donald Trump, I'm not saying you're lying. I'm just saying produce the evidence, because no court in America has so far established any evidence that that election was stolen. It's for the birds. It's cloud cuckoo stuff.
That's because those cases were dismissed on standing, but we have cases coming up, Piers. Pay attention so that if you really want your viewers to know the truth,
if you prove
pay
me
attention
wrong,
to these cases
okay,
happening right now.
let's have a
but
bet.
let's talk. Do you have anything in 2023?
Yes.
Because we've done
Yes.
January 6th, stolen election.
Yes, I do.
Okay, what do you got?
Here's
I've
what
got
I've
a book.
got.
How about my book? MTG.
okay.
This is
Let's
going
talk
to be
about
great.
your book.
Dude, you fucking tell your viewers not to buy her stupid book. Be like, don't buy this lady's book. She's cuckoo bird. She believes in Jewish space lasers.
MTGbook.com.
Let's talk
and
about
I cannot
you.
wait
Plugged
for
it
people to
enough.
read
You
it.
plugged it enough. Let me ask you: is Donald Trump going to win the election?
Absolutely. He's blowing it out of the water. The primary is a joke, and he is winning poll after poll on the general election.
And if he gets convicted of one of the myriad criminal offences he's been charged with, and I'm not saying when, if he is convicted and he gets a jail sentence, will he be president from a prison cell?
Absolutely. People are going to vote for him even if he is in jail.
That's crazy.
Even if he's in jail, because we have communism in our country, Piers. We have the Biden administration that is using the Department of Justice like the campaign arm of the Biden campaign. It's unbelievable, and Americans know this. That's why people that are independents, Democrats, many voters are switching over to supporting President Trump because they're seeing it for the first time in their lifetimes.
Okay, Marjorie, we've got to leave it there. It was a lively encounter. Come back again, and thank you for coming on. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Piers.
Yo, my favorite part of that was when every time it looked like he was looking down at that fucking tablet to just read a couple sentences of her post about the wildfires, she fucking was not having it. She started talking right over him. I do like how when they went to play the clips, the producer just muted her mic. That's fucking amazing. I don't like Piers Morgan, but you know, at least he sort of pushes back on people when they just come there and fucking lie. All right, well, we're about an hour in, and what we're going to do here is actually the opposite of a palate cleanser. Apparently, Laura Trump is trying to be a music artist. You know, I'm just real sorry that you have to hear this. I hope you like autotune.
Well, I won't back down. No,
Show the autotune plug-in. Show the autotune plug-in.
I won't back down. You can stand me up at the gates of hell, but I won't back down. No, I'll stand my ground. Won't be turned around. And I'll keep this world from dragging me down. Gonna stand my ground. And I won't back down. I won't back down. Hey, baby, there ain't no easy way out.
It says acoustic. It says acoustic. That's a piano, ma'am. I mean, I guess we usually, when we think of acoustic, we usually think of like a guitar, acoustic. So there's ways in which you can use autotune to make things sound very cool. I'm thinking of the last Daft Punk album had a lot of autotune on it. But the autotune was like being used as an instrument. It wasn't to fix somebody who couldn't sing. It was to create a certain kind of sound. That's what we didn't just hear, just to be clear. I don't want anybody to think that I'm apologizing for Laura Trump. I'm just saying that people have used autotune in the past in artistic and interesting ways. That's what we didn't see there. Up next, we got I don't know. I saw this in the Discord and I'm like, well, we'll run it. It's cute. Apparently during the filming of the first RoboCop movie, guy who played RoboCop really wanted a fucking Oreo.
When we were in Monessen, Pennsylvania, shooting the steel mill, Peter's upstairs. We were up 2 or 3 floors. You had to go upstairs to get to him. We had an explosion behind him. We make the explosion hot. We're ready to go. I went upstairs and I was carrying, I don't know, about 8 Oreos. in a stack. I'd hand him his weapon. I'd say, Peter, safety's off. And he wouldn't take the pistol. And he says, Robo wants an Oreo. And I looked at him and go, no, it's just you and I, Peter. Robo doesn't get an Oreo.
You wouldn't even play along?
It's an Oreo. Peter can have an Oreo. And he clip-clops in the suit over to the edge of the railing, and Peter starts bellowing, Robo wants an Oreo. And when the steel mill just echoes, Randy has Oreos, or Robo wants an Oreo. And Steve Lim over the radio goes, Randy, do you have Oreos? So I stuffed that whole stack in my mouth, and then crunched them and let them fall down 3 stories onto everybody below me. And
No, that's gross. Give him a fucking Oreo.
Robo got upset.
I haven't got a damn clue about Randy Moore and his fucking Oreos. Randy Moore's a friend, but half the time I don't know what the hell he's talking about. So he's got all these stories from RoboCop. I don't remember them.
Steve Lim's going, can we get the shot and then Robo can have an Oreo? And Peter said no. So they had to cut. They were rolling, they're ready to go. Now we're hot on the explosive. They had to send a PA up the stairs. They feed him an Oreo. And now he's got Oreo in his teeth. So then the PA has to pick the Oreos out of his teeth. And then he says, okay, I'm ready. And then we shot it.
Why couldn't he pick the Oreos out of his own teeth?
Always say Robo wants an Oreo. So I had a gentleman that worked with me. And his official title, it should have been the Peter Feeder, because that's what the crew called him, is the Peter Feeder.
Well, that's weird.
Love you madly. Don't believe one fucking word out of your mouth, bro.
That was weird. RoboCop was a movie that I did not understand as a kid, and now as an adult, I have a greater understanding of the movie RoboCop. It's a pretty good movie, and if you haven't seen it since you were a kid, maybe you should check it out again. Anyway, this next one, this is actually a palate cleanser. I think we have 2, maybe 3 palate cleansers here, at least 2. This one I'm going to call Kitties versus Onion. I said no onions. So if you're listening to the podcast version, that made no sense. Check out the docket. You can find that linked in the show notes, or just go to YouTube or whatever and watch the video of this, because I think the onion won, actually. I was rooting for the kitties, but the onion seems to have come out ahead on that one. Up next, we have a touching story about a goat. Anytime I see a story about a goat, we're running the story about the goat. This is a baby goat being reunited with its goat mom. We can get some goats in the chat. That would be fantastic for me and for the baby goat.
Hello, nagsasagutan mo kayo. Hello, kayo.
Hooray, baby goat. Hooray, baby goat. So, up next, I'm not sure if this next one is a palate cleanser. This is a song about George Santos.
I made a mistake, and I think humans are flawed, and we all make mistakes.
By Randy Rainbow.
Sack of BS. How'd they elect such a mess? I think he might be high.
I'm Jewish.
Who could have foreseen this shady queen? All he does is lie.
I've never met him.
No, I never said that. Cause life's a fucking fantasy for Santos. Santos lies all day and night. Even every MAGA sycophant knows something about this dude ain't right. His bio's just just a blatant work of fiction with which the facts don't ever quite align. Attempts to scam his base are commonplace. His past's as spotty as his big gay face. Oh, everything's a fantasy for Santos. No wonder they want Santos to resign.
I understand everybody wants to nitpick at me.
Ooh, everything he does is just a shit stuff. Nothing that he claims is true. It's actually true. He said Britney Spears played his bar mitzvah. Even though he's not a Jew. He did it again. He lies and says he graduated college. Denies each Ponzi scheme and sketchy deal. His colleagues clear their throats when Santos gloats that he in fact invented post-it notes. Oh, everything is nonsense with this Mary. He's ending off his resume for real. It says he danced in Brazil as a drag queen for hire, then finished Baruch as a magna cum liar. At school he excelled as a volleyball star till he landed the cover of Harper's Bazaar, but went on to be known as a Wall Street tycoon and the very first woman to land on the moon only after he fought in the Vietnam War, which I think he made up for publicity. He sailed up the Missouri with Lewis and Clark and then produced Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark. He survived the Titanic, then had to disrobe in the movie, which won him his first Golden Globe. He invented the internet, walked with a stare. His mother was Elvis, his father is Cher. He led the Congressional Science Committee. He started Samantha on Sex and the City. His album just dropped. He'd love to adopt. He's full out crazy and must be stopped.
I made a mistake. Humans are flawed, and we all make mistakes.
Hey there, Georgie girl. Telling all your tales so fancy free. Looking at your daddy issues on the government side. You nut job. Hey there, Georgie girl. Actually, your name is Anthony. Did you bump your head, hunty? Or are you just playing games?
I never said that.
It's clear you weren't held as a child, and will we know why? So now you just continue to lie. You lunatic. Hey there, Georgie girl. Shut your stupid hole and don't deflect. Find a little self-respect, and maybe it's you that like. Now take a hike. Piss off, Georgie girl. Life's a fucking fantasy for Santos. Chances that he lasts are slim. Call him on his bluffs and he'll recant those. He thinks we're as dumb as him. As he. An excellent reflection of his party. The bullshit is their favorite game to play. And though he tries to spin, he just can't win. His nose keeps growing as the feds close in. Cause everything's a fantasy with Santos. Or fantasies that Santos goes away. For 10 to 20. How long until this asshole goes away? Bye, Georgie. Oh, goodbye.
It was a little longer maybe than I think it should have been, but it was very funny. And yeah, we had maybe a triple palate cleanser. So we got a story out of Australia, actually. The High Court in Australia seems to have outlawed indefinite detention. And here's from the Australian Broadcasting Company about that decision.
The government was scrambling today to deal with the fallout from the High Court's recent decision making indefinite immigration detention unlawful. 84 people have been released as a result of the ruling, all with no prospect of being deported, many with criminal records. The government has introduced legislation that imposes conditions, including mandatory ankle bracelets and curfews on those being released. Laura Tingle is our chief political correspondent. Laura, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Now, that High Court decision that I've just referred to, it's...
Maybe you shouldn't have tried to throw him in a hole for a while without due process.
Almost 20 years old. Why did we get to this point today in Parliament?
Well, last week after the court made its finding, but reserved its reasons, the government was saying, well, look, we have to wait to see what the reasons are before we can legislate, because we could run into fall foul of those reasons. But what happened, as I understand it, is that essentially the government wasn't all that surprised, or the department wasn't that surprised that the chap at the centre of the case would have to be released. But what they didn't take into account or caught them off guard was the fact that you'd see a whole group of people being released. The numbers once again climbed today to 84. That changed the politics of all of this, created an urgency which the coalition has been, ruthlessly pursuing politically over the last few days. They keep talking about these 80 plus hardened criminals, even though we don't actually know that they are all hardened criminals. We think they probably are, but we don't know exactly what they are. Yesterday they were still saying we can't act, and then by last night they said, we will be introducing legislation first thing in the morning. And then by question time today, they'd rolled over to further pressure from the coalition to make all of these conditions, such as the ankle bracelets, mandatory.
So just in terms of the dynamic in Parliament today, clearly we've had as you just described, it's an evolving story over a week. Did they lose control of the politics of it today?
Well, it certainly felt like that, Sarah. The government is always, Labor is always very sensitive on these issues, and without a doubt, Peter Dutton's been completely relentless. He's linked it to the fact that the Prime Minister is overseas for the APEC meeting and is sort of basically suggesting he's, failing in his duty to people. The politics was absolutely savage. And it was interesting because having got the initial sort of rollover, if you like, or the appearance of a rollover of the government agreeing to bring legislation in today, it then went that step further. And the original legislation was saying, well, it is within the minister's capacity to impose these various conditions on particular people, and that might apply if they're sex offenders or whatever. But I think there is some concern that by essentially reversing that to say everybody must be subject to this indefinitely, but the minister has some scope to back away from it, it may raise questions about the constitutionality of the measures.
And just to understand the politics of it, because all of these people who are being or have been released, and there may be more who are released, as I understand it, where there are where people have been found guilty of crimes, they have completed those sentences. So like an ordinary member of the community who's completed a sentence, been to prison, got out, that's essentially what these people are, who also have an immigration issue. Is that right?
That's right. And if they were permanent citizens, they would basically come out, they would be subject to parole conditions, which would be applying to these people as well. But
if they were held well past their sentence because of their immigration stuff and the court said that's illegal, maybe you can't impose further restrictions on them because the the imposition of being in prison for longer than your sentence might count against that.
All of these extra things are being put on them. Now, one of the interesting things to me about this is that basically these people have all been prosecuted. The ones who have been prosecuted, not everybody within this complete cohort have been actually found guilty of crimes in Australia, but those who have been prosecuted here were prosecuted through the state system. It'll be the state and territory police who have to monitor them, run the parole system, the parole-like system. So we haven't heard much from the states about how it's going to work with them, but yes, it's creating this whole set of separate conditions which are onerous, including possibly not being able to work. How that sort of is functional indefinitely for all of these people is really hard to work out.
Now, just briefly, these were debates between the government and the opposition, but obviously the government's also got some issues with its own flank today. That's Catherine King's infrastructure review, which includes cutting infrastructure projects, had a very tough response from New South Wales, but particularly from Queensland.
Yes, well, I'm sure that's got nothing to do with the fact that Queensland's going to the election next year, Sarah, and that there's nothing like Canberra bashing at this stage. Essentially, the projects that are being cut are ones that actually have never started. Often they're ones that don't even have planning processes in place. The idea is that the government says it will spend the same $120 billion that it had already committed to But we've seen these warnings from the IMF about the inflationary impact of the fact that there was this huge number of projects, not enough money to go around and not enough resources to put into them.
So how does this address that if they're not spending less money?
Because they're spending the same amount of money on less projects. So the pressure on resources to build all of these things will be less. I think the forecast in the report that Catherine King released today showed that in one particular year, I think 2027, the inflationary effect on the cost of those projects was going to be $10 billion extra in that year alone. So essentially they've cut that back. But I think the really interesting thing in a way, beyond those projects that have been cut, will be a couple of other changes that have been made in this. And most significantly, that the federal government is saying any future projects will be done on a 50-50 basis, not 80-20. And of course, the states will not like that at all.
Indeed. Laura Tingle, thank you very much indeed.
Thanks, Sarah.
So the infrastructure stuff I don't know enough about, but the idea that like somebody finishes their sentence after they commit a crime in your country and then you just keep them in prison because you haven't figured out what to do with their immigration. Yeah, that seems like you shouldn't do that. And I think the High Court made the right decision because there would have been nothing stopping the government from processing the immigration claims, the immigration while these people were incarcerated due to their conviction. And I think they said that some people that were being held hadn't been convicted of anything. And well, they can't do that anymore. Maybe the U.S. will follow suit, but not with our Supreme Court, though we weren't really holding people indefinitely on immigration charges in most cases. Though I could be wrong there. I'm not an immigration expert. Up next, we got a clip from the Satanic Temple. They are providing free religious telehealth medication abortion care. I have some problems with the Satanic Temple. Primarily, I don't like Lucian Graves. But that's because I don't like libertarians mostly. But this is generally pretty good, and this video is actually kind of funny. So.
It can seem like everyone is making decisions about your body, like you can't be trusted to make your own choices. Everyone. Except Satan. The Satanic Temple believes in the religious right to bodily autonomy. We believe so deeply that we exercise that right with Samuel Alito's Mom's Satanic Abortion Clinic. Our clinic provides safe religious reproductive health care. We've partnered with an accredited pharmacy to deliver abortion medication. And best of all, our services are free. Samuel Alito's Mom's Satanic Abortion Clinic. To learn more or to receive free reproductive health care, visit our website. To support our fight for religious reproductive rights, donate $6.66 a month or more to Samuel Alito's Mom's Satanic Abortion Clinic.
Support TSD Health's Supreme Courtship fundraiser and choose from a variety of donation gifts, including a Sam Sack lunchbox, a Get Out of Pregnancy free card, and our SCOTUS series of condoms featuring all.
Oh no.
Donate today.
Get Out of Pregnancy free card is pretty funny. Again, the Satanic Temple, I do think on the balance they've generally done good work. I just don't like Lucian Graves. So maybe that's a me problem more than a Satanic Temple problem, because it's not their mission to make me specifically like Lucian Graves. Yeah, I really want the Get Out of Pregnancy free card. I'm not a person who can get pregnant, but be fun to have that in my wallet. Up next, we got a couple more before we go on into red light this evening. We have Fire by Night reject and possible wig wearer Robin Bullock talking about Donald Trump, Benjamin Netanyahu, and Vladimir Putin with a guitar.
Lord, we bless you and thank you for the protection of Israel. And Lord God, I thank you for the protection of Benjamin Netanyahu. I thank you, Lord God, for the protection of Donald Trump. I thank you, Lord God, for the protection of Vladimir Putin. I thank you, Lord God, for the protection of certain key leaders. Lord God, that
whose name I don't know,
move out of the way in order to bring his agenda to pass. But no more, no more, no more, no more, no more ships set like they're anchored to the bottom of the sea.
Oh God, make it stop. Okay, it stopped. ugh. Like when he started singing, I'm like, oh, please don't play the guitar. That guy's funny, and we have not decided. I think his hair's a wig. That's fine, whatever. He's a performer. No shade there. But also shade. Up next, we got Tucker Carlson. He usually doesn't show up on our docket anymore for this show because he's Tucker Carlson. But here he goes. Just absolutely mask off anti-Semitic in this little clip here.
However, then I thought, well, wait a second. If the biggest donors at, say, Harvard have decided, well, we're going to shut it down now, where were you the last 10 years when they were calling for white genocide? You were allowing this. And then I found myself really hating those people, actually. That you're okay with that? On what grounds were you okay with that?
And this is what I've been trying to explain to the pro-Israel lobby, that what you are seeing as lack of support is people that are asking the question is, where were you as we have endured all of this?
You were paying for it, actually.
Right.
You were paying for it.
You were paying for it.
You were calling my children immoral for their skin color. You paid for that.
And
so why shouldn't I be mad at you? I don't understand.
I wonder, are the top, is Harvard, or the top donors to Harvard, do they tend to be Jewish?
And so that is, obviously you have a ton of white people that are asking this question, and they're now being called anti-Semitic. And I think that that's wrong. I think these are meaningful questions that deserve to be answered. Why was this sort of verbiage allowed into the curriculum? I mean, could you imagine if in the curriculum it said that every Jewish person born is a terrorist?
Ooh, yeah. First of all, the facts of the matter don't matter that much. But I don't think that the majority of the people who donate to Harvard, the majority of the alumni or whatever, are going to be Jewish. Partially because for a very long time, Harvard had a ceiling on like the percentage of Jews that they would even let attend. I think it's not like it ended yesterday, but it's not ancient history. They had little reverse quotas, kind of, where like can't have people Jewing up the place here at Harvard. That was a big thing they were doing for a while. So I'm not sure what they're talking about. Speaking of people who I'm not sure what they're talking about, this is as Lisa, who's maybe not with us this evening, she calls him LaFace. This is Charlie Kirk, and he's a Bible expert.
The entire book of Deuteronomy is a political book. It's Moses' farewell address, where he doesn't get to go into the promised land. He is telling the people that he led in the next generation that is going to fulfill God's promise, right? A 14-day journey took them 40 years after complaining and challenging and questioning God. And Moses gives this triumphant farewell address, telling you, here's how you should set up the government. Here's how you should separate powers. You should have consent to the governed. You should have an independent judiciary. And guess what? We get that in Deuteronomy 6, we get love the Lord your God with all your soul, strength, and mind, which Jesus said is one of the laws of which all the laws of the prophets hang upon. So it's not political, it's biblical.
Well, I don't know that much about Deuteronomy. Looks like he was there with that Oklahoma Board of Education head, the Ryan, I forget his last name. But I find it interesting that he brought up, this is only supposed to take him 14 days and it took him 40 years. Maybe we shouldn't listen to them. 14 days, it took you 40 years to get here. Yeah, maybe we're not going to trust your judgment so much. But I don't know enough about the story, right? I'm not religious and like whatever. I don't know what the deeper meaning of that is. Maybe ask some of your religious friends, or maybe we can ask the religious people here what they think that means, or how that's interpreted by scholars. And by scholars, I mean not Charlie Kirk. So that's the end of the docket. We're not going anywhere, though. Hang out, everybody. If you're watching live, listening live, if you're on the podcast, I guess bye. Although if you're resourceful, you can find ways to get this show for free. Also, you can just email me. If you'd like to pay for the post game, though, I would like that. You can do it either at eplex.store or at patreon.com/echoplex. I prefer the former because I do prefer Fourth Wall to Patreon. Fourth Wall does great stuff. And while you're over there at eplex.store, check out the merch. And, I don't know, fucking buy some of it. Especially that new conspiracy bingo stuff. That stuff be looking great. Anyway, that's the end of the show. Like I said, live viewers, stick around. We're not going anywhere. Change the contents of my beverage. Change the color of the lights in this room. And we'll be back with Red Light.